Let's move on to the vectors and matrix operations in the Matlab. So suppose you want to define a vector, right? Let's say the vector be x. Okay, so x equal to, so if you are defining a vector or matrix, use square brackets. Okay, so if you click on this top row of the keyboard, you can find this curly braces, square brackets and parentheses, and up arrow, left right button. So just click the square bracket, right? So x equal to, now within inside you have to type the numbers. Let's say I have a vector. Let's say it has 3 components. So first component is 1. Now if you're done with the number first component, then you have to click space, right? That means this is the second component. So 1 2, right? Now I click again space, now 3, right? This defines you a vector x with 3 components, 1 2 3, or you can say row 1 and 3 columns. So 1 cross 3 is the order of this vector. So just press return. So this is 1 2 3. This is row vector, right? Let's try to define y, which is a column vector, right? So what will be the change while defining? So let's see, type square brackets. Now I will type first component is 1. Now if you want a column vector, then you don't have to add space, you have to add semicolon. So semicolon means this is the row, this row is done, so you are moving on to the next row. So again 2 is the second row, again type semicolon. You can click space for better readability, or you can skip it, it's your choice, but good readability is a good sign of good programmer. Okay, so the third component is 3. Now if you press enter, you'll see this is a column vector. Now you can see this is a column vector. So you have to know the difference. If you are putting space, then it means you are creating a single row. If you are putting semicolon in between, that means you are creating different rows. Okay, now is there any shortcut way to convert x row vector into a column vector? Yes, there is a shortcut. So let's say I want to create a vector z, that is column vector, and I want to create from x. So x is a row vector. If you create a transpose of x, then you will get a column vector, right? So how to take transpose of a vector in this Matlab? So just after the vector, you have to type the apostrophe, so single apostrophe. So if you click, you can get the, see, we have got the column vector. So x was a row vector 1 2 3, then you have got the column vector from x by using transpose, which is defined by apostrophe, right? Okay, these were the vectors. Now let's try to define a matrix. Let's try to define a 3 cross 3 matrix. So let's say capital A, right? A is a matrix. Let's try to define 3 cross 3 matrix. So I want to enter the components, right? So as I told you, square bracket means it's a vector or matrix. So you have to use square brackets for defining matrix or matrices. Okay, so let's say A is a matrix. So first row is 2 1 4. So 2, because it's still in a first row, so 2 space 1 is 4, right? So 2 1 4 means the first row. So within the first row, 2 is the first column, 1 is the second column, 4 is the third column. Now if you want to move in the second row, then type semicolon, right? Then you can type the second row numbers. So 7 space 0 space 2. Okay, so this you have defined the second row. Now come to the third row, so you have to put semicolon after the second row. So space, now the third row is 6 5 4. So you are done, right? You have defined the matrix. Now press enter to see the result. So you can see you have defined a matrix. Let's say you want to create a matrix P, and it should be the transpose of A. So A, then you use apostrophe, right? So click enter. It will give you the transpose of A. See, 214 has become column. Remember, if you have defined the matrix with capital A, then you have to use capital A to access that matrix. Otherwise, it will give error. So I want to say that Matlab is very case sensitive. So you have to make sure to use properly. So if you are using small a, then you have to use small a only, right, to access that a. If you are using capital A, then you have to type capital A only to get the same variable. Okay, for example, let's say a equal to 3, right, a equal to 3, then I have capital so a equal to 3. Let's again define capital A equal to 3. Don't think that small a equal to 3, capital A equal to 3 are same. No, both are totally different. Small a is a different variable, capital A is different variable. So keep in mind. Now you know how to define a vector, define a matrix in the Matlab. Right? Yeah, that's good. Now let's move on to the next section. So clear the screen. So we are talking about Matlab predefined spatial values. What do you mean by spatial values? Let's say pi, right? What is the value of pi? 3.14. So every time you want to write an equation, let's say you want to calculate the area of a circle, pi r square, right? So you can use the predefined variables. That means if you type pi in Matlab, that will give you the pi value 3.14. That means you don't have to write 22/7 every time. You just have to type pi. For example, this pi. So this is called predefined spatial values. This is already defined. You cannot type pi and give it pi equal to 3. It will give you error. So pi equal to 3. You can overwrite the value, but don't do that. Okay, so you can overwrite the value. In this version, I think this is permissible, but earlier it was not permissible. So earlier you could not overwrite pi. Anyway, if you want to, so I will clear all the things, all the variables defined so far. So I will start fresh. Okay. So clear the string. Now if you type pi, it should give you 3.14159, right? 3.1416. Okay, this is the predefined. Don't use pi to define variable names. Okay, similarly, what about I? So I, as you know, I is a complex number, right? 0 plus 1i, this is a complex number. Similarly, j is also complex number. What about if you want to define infinity, or you want to see what is the answer of 0 by 1? It should, no, this is 0, I mean 1 divided by 0. What is the answer of 1 divided? It is infinity, right? So Matlab will show you infinity. So it is given as INF. INF means it is infinity. So INF means infinity, right? Capital INF. You can see, so 1 divided by 0. So the answer is infinity. So what Matlab returns, you check. See, infinity. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. It is infinity. What about indeterminate forms? Let's say 0 by 0, right? 0 by 0 is not defined. No, this is not defined. No, this is indeterminate. You cannot determine it. So let's say 0 by 0. So you cannot determine the value. So it is called not a number in a Matlab. So 0 by 0 you cannot define it, right? You cannot calculate the value. So it is called not a number. So in Matlab it is shown as nan, N-A-N. So 0 by 0 is an indeterminate form, so it will be shown as nan. So whenever you see nan, this means it is indeterminate form, right? Okay. So, and also one last thing, ANS. AN is means answer. Whenever you type a number, it is stored in the answer variable. So by default answer is, answer means a variable which is used to store any calculation you have done in the answer variable. So if you click answer and return, it will show you none, because last time you have calculated 0 by 0 and the answer was none, right? So, and it was by default stored in answer variable, right? So now if you 2 divided by 3, so it will be stored in answer variable because you have not supplied any variable. So in answer it will be stored. But if you have calculated like this, x equal to 2 by 3, now the value will be stored in x, not in the answer. Okay.